If I'm trying to think like a scientist when designing a pedal, you want to have as many controls as possible. One of those controls is the sound of the guitar that you're using. I got into the NYXLs. They last longer, they work better, and they stay in tune for longer. Just a lot of things that make my life easier.
Hey everyone, this is Chris Kies, from Your Guitar. Today I'm at Marathon Music Works with IDLES again.
Woo.
How you doing, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. I'm really glad to be here. We did a rig rundown with you guys about 3 years ago in Nashville.
Yeah.
Different venue. Have a quite a same setup, but also different. So let's get into it. Let's talk about your baritone you got right here.
Yeah. So on the new album, I play mostly baritone.
Yeah.
And in different tunings. So I think I may have shown you the blue one last time.
Yeah.
But it's basically I play Strats, or Strat-like things.
Mm-hmm.
So I got them to make a Strat one with the baritone neck that they had. And basically because I do different tunings and things like that.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be Fiesta Red, but I think that's Dakota Red. But anyway, it looks cool. And then the stock pickups, like I still am into like, you know, custom pickups, and kind of like I didn't really care about the bit of wood that it was strapped to. I thought it was all that was important was the little magnet things.
Yeah.
And how that does stuff. So like, for example, that one's got like creamery pickups.
Grab
these are
this real
creamery
quick.
pickups.
And that's also Stinky, right?
That's Stinky, yeah.
Stinky's the Strat. Creameries.
And then I think what it was is I got really obsessed with hot pickups,
yeah,
like on overwind stuff and not using volume knobs and just everything being like ah. And then now I'm like, oh yeah, there's actually something cool about not being too hot and not being over the top, especially I think with baritone as well, because you want like the cool thing about baritone is you're playing like bass adjacent sounds,
yeah,
but you've got twang, especially on Fender ones. So these are just like, I think they're called Texas Specials. They're stock. And then there's just nothing special going on, but what I wanted was the twang of a Fender guitar, but playing bassy information.
Yeah.
So that I can play along with Dev, and he's bassy information, and I'm twangy bassy information. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of, that's the thing, and I think also just moving into different like weirder kind of tunings and stuff like that, and lower tunings.
What are some of the tunings?
I mean, it's mainly B standard and drop A sharp. There's a couple of ones where the B is detuned even lower. It kind of just depends on what the vibe is. And I'm not doing anything like fancy chord shapes or anything like that with it. It's literally just I'm trying to go as low as possible without it flopping everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's it. I'm just like, let's make it as busy, let's go as low as we can. Because obviously I use loads of pogs as well to mess around with octaves. Basically, I'm not a very good guitarist. So it's like, you know, if something can jump an octave for me and I don't have to, you know, in my head work about where that is 12 frets later, then I don't have to think about it.
What do you enjoy about going so deep in the bass? Because it's not always been the band's sound, or specifically yours too.
Yeah.
It's like, as it's gone the last 3 records, you keep getting into Dev's area.
I've jumped ship. Yeah, I used to like, you know, like when we started out, it was like that.
Yeah.
With like some like really wild DiMarzio pickups in it that were like really, really thin. I mean, even those ones are like super. That's the Creamery 72s, I think they're called, or 79s. And that's like really, really spanky and bright. And I used to play that into like a Vox or a Fender, and it was like,
yeah.
And that was kind of how I was able to be louder than all the bass information that was going on. And then as the sound developed and kind of Dev became more of a like Dev's become more of a kick drum. Like cool, he's playing cool kick patterns and kind of less post-punky lead lines, and then I've kind of come in and kind of made these kind of like more, I don't know what the genre of music it is, but like they're baritone bass lead lines basically. So like, you know, like Dancer and Gift Horse and things like that. Like it's all that car crash, other things like that. It's all kind of like, there's super low and I'm like the more mid-Z low.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It's been an organic evolution, I assume, that you
it's kind of just
tripped down.
Yeah, it's also the constant battle with Lee as well, and like creating space and giving each other, and just having all the energies in the right place on tracks. And I just think that if Lee's up there and I'm somewhere there and Dev's down there, then no one's clashing with each other.
8-layer cake.
That's it.
Yeah, man.
That's it. And then you add this stuff in and it fucks everything up. So it's just terrible, yeah.
Well, we got the Stinky. We'll put him back here.
Yeah.
Because I know
so the cool thing about Stinky, so last time you saw Stinky was like a complete mess. And now it just looks like it's a complete mess. It was like really beat up and kind of like falling apart, but I was like clinging to it for dear life. And then Gav got it sent to Ruben with Fairlane guitars, from Fairlane Guitars, and what he did was he restored everything. So like, you know, like that was all lifting out. So he's like put resin inside it so that it's not gonna be damaged anymore.
Wow.
It was like it was a wet guitar, it was soaked through. And then he took all the like electrics out and kind of rejigged them. Everything's still, it's not original because it's a Strat or whatever you call them, Frankencaster.
Yeah.
But it's original to how it was at that point of like complete, when it was about to be annihilated. But it's all been like completely restored, and it sounds great, and it's just always had a weird energy, this guitar, so it's kind of cool. And like the skunk stripe was falling out the back and it was vibrating, so that's all been rejigged. But like, you know, you still got the original varnish there.
Yeah.
And like it used to be candy apple red, and my dad painted it with like boat varnish.
Yeah, so like the last one we covered it, and people need to check that out as well to learn about this EGC.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is your dad's old guitar.
Yeah, it's my dad's old guitar. Cool. Yeah, I love it, and it still gets played, so
Does it get used on like Joy and Brutalism stuff, or is it like, where does it see its time?
It comes in on Brutalism stuff,
okay.
when we play it live, and some Joy stuff.
Okay.
It's kind of the other thing is it's too dangerous going into the crowd with that. So if I want to go into the crowd, I get Gav to hand me Stinky, and then I can get into the crowd, because that's going to kill someone.
Yeah.
So safer,
just
softer.
Yeah, softer. Just like Lee's Jackson, he's got that real pointy headstock. You can't go in the crowd.
Can't go in. Yeah. So we've been
people want to
there.
Learn and see and hear about this one. Check out that other rig rundown, because we're short in time. So we're talking about the Baritone.
Yeah.
We kind of had a similar amp setup. I know you had the 200B.
Yeah. So I've got
the high watt.
And then now I've added the Vox in.
Yeah, which was an old kind of throwback.
Yeah, it was a throwback thing, but basically we worked with Nigel Godrich on this. The last that was incredible, amazing. Like I learned a lot, and he's a big Vox guy. So like when we were in his studio in London, we were kind of just using his stuff that was around, and it was. I mean, he's got really nice Voxes.
Yeah.
So we were using that, and I kind of just I couldn't. It wasn't that I couldn't dial it in with these, it's that I want these still to be what they are. They're my massive headroom, big, rocky, I can throw tons of pedals at it, and I can make like chaos. I can sound like AC/DC if I want to, or I can sound, you know, mad, you know, and it can really screech and do all sorts of stuff. And then this can be like my kind of clean, dirty sound. I don't know, more natural sound, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so that's where that comes in. And again, you know, coming back to the twang, like I'm stock pickups into a Vox sounds. It's where there's like this more natural end. I think whenever I do play guitar on the new stuff, what I like is the kind of the brush against the new way we're going about drums, and the new way we're going about like kind of like sonic textures and more electronic, I guess, elements to the sound. But I like having an earthy, natural kind of like instantly recognizable as a kind of like rock and roll kind of guitar sound. And that's what's cool. So on the album we used a lot of tape loops. So like, even though it sounds like a drum machine, it's John still playing live drums, but we've looped it. So you've got that loop factor, that repeat factor, and it's natural, but it's unnatural. And I guess that kind of tension is where we were going as well. So things like Gratitude is like, you know, a baritone guitar with sounding very Fendery through a Vox that's like instantly recognizable as something that is classic rock, but it's been warped and
Yeah.
time stitched and messed up, and you're kind of like, and makes it electronic, and that's the cool thing about being in a band now, isn't it? It's like you're not just, there's no rules anymore.
At least not in IDLES.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely no rules here. And like, then we come on this one. So like, again, I was playing this a lot in Nigel's studio. This is a Mustang. I don't know, I'm the worst person to have on this kind of thing, but it's a Mustang that Fender gave me a few years back, and it's got the creamery pickups. The creamery pickups are like my favorite pickups. It's just because Jamie from Creamery's just got like a really cool alternative idea of what a pickup should do. So like on Stinky, it's that really twangy, post-punky jangle sound that, you know, you'd maybe only be able to get from having, I don't know, just putting stuff through solid state amps and really going down that twangy route and recording it a certain way. But you can achieve it with a pickup, you know, you achieve it at source. And similar thing with this is like a really midsy Alt 88, I think it's called. So it's kind of like, they're all based off eras, I think. So like it's super midsy, which is great. And again, it's a nice foil to, you know, my EGC, which has got like all this like harmonic information in it, and these are twangy, and that's like brutal.
All different brushes.
Yeah, so exactly. And so we use this and like on a track Jungle. Maybe I'll play it for you in a sec. But like. It just I did this cool thing with the delay, and it just became really useful again, this guitar. And then talking about like the no rules thing, so I've tried. So trying to get this stuff live has been really difficult.
Yeah, it's a moving target.
To moving target, and so there's times whenever I'm playing guitar and piano at the same time, and what I don't ever want to happen is for us to have tape. I don't want to be playing along with playback or track or anything.
So that's a rule.
That's a rule.
Okay.
It's a rule. It's a soft rule. There are no rules in IDLES.
Yeah.
So we tried this with going through the piano, so sending MIDI information to the piano, and it's close and it's cool, but Wiz just won't put it out the PA at the front because it's a bit temperamental, but still cool, and it's staying on there because I've got ideas. You know, it'd be sick to just be playing like a one note line and then also sending that to like an 808. That'd be sick. Or, you know, doing some mad trigger and stuff. So that's for that guitar.
I can never say that I can expect what I can see when it comes to an IDLES rig rundown, but I didn't think TriplePlay Fishman pickup on the bingo card was not going to be it.
Yeah,
but I appreciate
neither for us. But it's an ongoing matter of debate, let's say. But it's going to. I can see it. The thing about it is, so like last rig rundown, I didn't have a clue what this was. I didn't have a clue how to use it.
How many clues you got now?
More.
Okay.
But it was like, it was an evolution from what happened in the studio when recording a crawler. I gave that information to Gavin, and he designed something that allowed that to be played live. But then it also opened up all this whole world of possibilities, and you know, I've fought and learned my way through that, and now that really came into its own on Tangk, and then there's more evolution here. So like, I've now got the MPC, I've got the pianos, I'm using the loopers a lot more effectively than before, and then there's a lot more like rooting different stuff, and this has become like an on-stage production tool. So it's not just guitars go into it, the Prophet goes into it, John's drums go into it, and it just it helps us create those electronic sounds that are on the album, but it's still that tension between it being electronic and being something that's sequenced. And you know, whenever it's that kind of music, I love that.
Yeah.
But that's not what people come to see an IDLES show. People come to see an IDLES show because it almost falls apart all the time.
Yeah.
And so we wanted something that is like not repeatable ever. This will never sound the same any night.
No.
And also can go wrong and sounds natural and is responding to what John's doing, or respond to what I'm doing, or respond to what's happening on the keys. So it's live. It's its own thing.
And the struggle is real here when it comes to creating sounds, but it's the joy.
Eventually, yeah. Like in like rehearsals for this stuff, me and Gavin are like the most stressed people in the world. Because like also the other thing is that like 75% of the time it's all theoretical until we try it. So like we've just got this stuff and we're getting in the room trying to play along with the guys, and it's like
Spending the time I have with you guys and staying in touch, you know, after these shoots happen, it strikes me that you guys don't necessarily know what you're getting into, but you want to figure out either whether it's reconstructing the album that you kind of maybe put together in pieces and how you can do that live, but also you're just jumping in both feet to this gear that you've never really interacted with, and it's a way that you're just trying to create something at all times. It's always about creating.
It's all about creativity. That is essentially it. Like, I mean, that's one of the essences of like what I think makes our band great, is that we don't really know that much, but we have enthusiasm in exploring it. And so that kind of like enthusiasm and being like fresh to something, it's like that kind of like demo excitement, you know? It's like the first time something's played, it's exciting. It's why, like, you know, the Beatles is cool because like all that technology didn't exist, and then all of a sudden it exists and everyone's going, oh fuck, it was left and right, whoa, you know, stuff like that. And it's really cool, and they do something really creative with it because it's like new. And so that's our approach, is we try and keep ourselves in the dark, you know, don't watch too many rig runouts.
Certainly don't look at any user manuals.
Yeah, there's definitely no user manuals. It's like, everyone's like, oh no, he's did it wrong, look, it's terrible. But yeah, I've never looked at what this stuff does, but I use it all the time.
So we so kindly had John standing by to talk to us about a specific kind of part of the new album that you guys play live or try to play live every night, considering to see how it goes. So let's do that.
Yeah, let's do so like, hello, I gotta get that.
A lot of banking.
Yes, well, I've got every track lined up. So give us a sec. Sorry, I gotta put it on the right settings.
And so for everyone that's keeping track at home, your instruments, we'll call them, with the baritone and the guitars, do go through this setup as well, or are you playing separate to this?
Everything goes to this.
Got it.
So I've got
Expression pedals.
all the stuff that we do is like gig rig, they're incredible. The switching system that they've got, and we work a lot with them because obviously we've got batshit ideas that aren't actually things that people have done before, and so he very kindly responds to us a lot, and kind of we create things together, which is really cool. And he's always like, every time he comes see us, he's like, are you using that? That's mad. That's not how it's supposed to be used. We're like, yeah, but it's cool though. So like, I've got my board A runs, so basically I'm running everything in parallel. So these are on all the time. That guitar is always going to there.
Okay.
And then I run a lot of like, the thing in gig rig, you can run things parallel, so I can send so there's these amps, and then there's goes through to this.
Okay.
And then that's coming out as a DI. It's actually coming through the Strymon Iridiums.
Because pushing it through an amp would destroy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've blown up a lot of amps, and this is the safest solution.
Yeah.
So yeah, but what you can do is you can run things a lot in parallel, so I can have, you know, a guitar raging through here, and then I can do like weird delays coming out, and we can really stereo them. So there's like the main guitar part is the focus in the center, and then there's loads of weird stereo delay stuff happening, lots of LFO stuff, lots of like POG things I do as well. They're really thicken stuff up, and just it's all about
that low end information.
Low end information. Yeah. Which again, amps can do, but amps plus microphones, it's all these steps that I find adding more and more steps in front of can create problems.
You don't say.
Yeah, and but also it's also, you know, it's a tension as well. It's a tension between the space age mad stuff and the AC/DC guitar.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want. I don't want to stop playing AC/DC guitar and start like craft working out all the time. Like, I want both.
Yeah.
So that's what we get.
It's clearly you're well on your way.
Yeah, it's cool. And then I've got like, and then, so that comes through there, or we do a monitor split, and then Jeremy, our monitor engineer, sends me like, for example, pop, the drums. So John, let's do that. And it's kind of Apex tuning, you know?
Yeah.
And then, so I can control things up here, obviously if I'm not playing something, but then if I'm playing something at the same time, I've got my expression pedals down there. And then obviously you'll be able to hear John's drums as well. So it's not just that sound. So it just reinforces stuff and just makes it really cool. That's cool. Thanks, Al. It's good, isn't it? So yeah, so I do that, and then there's like sometimes I'll grab like Joe's vocals, sometimes it's Dev's bass, and it just allows us to do weird experimental stuff.
Where did that interest come from?
Being in the electronic music thing, like Aphex Twin, like the experimentation in Aphex Twin stuff. Like I got really into I can't remember what it's called, electronically controlled acoustic instruments or whatever it's called, where it's like a lot of MIDI information being sent to acoustic instruments. There's like drums being played and there's a lot of piano stuff.
Yeah.
Like on this new album, we did a lot of stuff with the Disclavier, where, you know, I play a part on piano, and then because I'm not good at piano again, I could take it MIDI and look at the MIDI and then just blow it out, put it everywhere, and do something that someone would need to have 5 hands to be able to do. And so it's just cool. I love exploring things like that. Man,
you seem like you're on the never-ending quest, not only just for sounds, but also just learning.
Yeah.
Or experiment.
It is. It's learning. It's experimenting, and it's also just being new to something. I think that's the only. It's just an obsession with that creative process and that creative spark and finding flow. And I think flow comes easiest to me when I'm working on something new and haven't been yet shown the manual or told the rules about it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, what does this do? All right, it does that. What if can it do this? And you either answer yes or no. Sometimes even the no is kind of cool. Like, you know, like converting, I love converting like audio to MIDI, and then all the artifacts that you get on there, like, you know, especially guitar. So you'll get like finger sweeps or like pick noises, and they'll be transposed onto the MIDI as like these high notes that come in, and then they're really cool, and they kind of like emphasize that in the track.
Because a lot of what you're using is analog stuff with the pickups, you know, amps, tubes, but then you also are incorporating the digital synth stuff, so there's like that blend of old and new, and so then the way they talk to each other, interact with each other,
and also the way they don't listen to each other is always fun as well. Right. Yeah, it's like it's the lack of respect, I think, is
the zeros and ones don't like the vacuum tube sometimes. You know?
And that's great. I love that tension. You know what I mean?
Well, we got to cruise through the other guys. I know everyone's trying to get us out of here real quick, Mark, but I got 2 quick questions for you. Does Joe ever get tired of your guys' constant obsession with expansion and sound and evolution, or does he encourage you guys to do this?
He's into it.
This.
No, he's into it. He loves it as well. And like, I think that it's a huge part of our ethos as a band is that we wanted to take a guitar band further than the limitations of a guitar band.
Yeah. You
know, it is about the performance of being a band and being together and shaking about your instruments.
Yeah.
But it's by pushing that sound further. And we've all got a mutual love of electronic music. He's not that into the experimentation phase, as we learned on the last album. He's like, I don't need to be here for this bit. Just show me when it's good.
Yeah.
It's an evolving thing, but we're all supportive of it.
And then the last question is, what you mentioned briefly, and you talked about spending and getting to work with Nigel this time. What did you actually learn? You touched on it real quickly. You said you learned a bunch from him. Is there anything you could pull off? You know, I mean, he's the guy behind, obviously, a lot of Radiohead, but OK Computer. And you have production credits to your name on the last couple records.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you?
It's just an amazing experience, and it's a kindred spirit as well. I think he has that same attitude where it's a real kind of like there are no rules, and there's a kind of disrespect to the rules. But what I think I learned from Nigel was about like gaining knowledge as well is sometimes useful, you know, like kind of like, you know, he's an exceptional audio engineer. And he kind of knows everything, and that's kind of useful to have someone like that about when you are such an idiot caveman with this stuff.
Yeah.
Because he can fix problems, but also you can surprise him as well by your lack of knowledge can create something, you know? So I don't know. It's kind of the thing with Nigel is it's always better to keep it a mystery.
Yeah, I like that.
Because it's like you don't want to peer behind the wizard's curtain, and that's kind of like that's a real downside with working with these people. Is like I kind of become less enthusiastic about like music that I've heard. You know, you're like, oh, I don't know how that happens now. But like it's like, then that creates a gap, and then that vacuum you fill it up with
New ideas.
weird stuff. Yeah.
Well,
Not
Matt,
that I'm doing anything like new. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm not like Aphex Twin or anything, but like I'm trying.
yeah. Well, man, I really appreciate it. I know we got a cruise to talk, get busy with Lee and Dev, but I really appreciate your time
Thank you.
again, and thank you
Cheers.
so much.
It was a pleasure. Anytime.
All right, we are joined by Lee now. Lee, it's a good time seeing you again, man.
Nice to see you.
Last time I saw you was outdoor, some random festival that happened one time in Nashville last summer. I saw you. We met briefly in the Circle Pit. You were
With LCD. Was
yeah,
that one?
yeah.
Yeah.
You were running around and briefly, kindly
Yeah,
stopped
yeah.
the madness, said hello, and then you went on with your business.
It's nice.
But it was very nice of you.
It's nice to see you in there as well.
I'm glad to be doing this again today. You have some old friends. We'll
We
get
do.
to in a minute, but tell me about what you got here. You got the Esquire. I think
Yep.
you had a different one last time,
Yeah, I don't remember. I think last time might have been one that
or it might have been a Telly.
It might have been a Telly that I adapted into an Esquire, but this
Okay.
is actually an Esquire. Yeah, it's like a 70th anniversary
Okay.
of the Esquire. It is absolutely amazing. It's actually unmodified.
Really?
Yeah, which is I
Came
said
with the gaff tape?
well, right, slightly modified. And just to let everyone know, there is strap locks on here underneath the gaff tape, but
Okay.
they don't stop the strap coming off. So it's a combination
It's a
job.
belt and suspenders.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, no, this is completely unmodified. Everything's original on this. I think it sounds amazing, and it's probably the guitar I use most each set.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you dig about it sonically? Why it gets the kind of the heavyweight title for your set?
I think it's actually just quite versatile. Like, it sounds like what I want from Telly or the Esquire. So like everything I've ever tried to make, this just did.
Okay.
So everything I was trying to do, like make that single bridge pickup sound where it's quite got the bite but with a bit of body, it just does it. And also, if I want to, obviously I can do the switching system, which
It does
I
something
mean,
with the
I
treble bleed or
obviously
something.
don't remember anything it does.
Yeah.
All I know is
It sounds different.
if you push it forward, it sounds different. Push it back, it sounds different.
I know it's not a neck pickup. I know that. I know that it does not have a neck pickup, so that's definitely
No,
not happening.
I think it's more of a like a tone cut and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I just can't remember. I rarely move it.
Yeah.
So this is how it is, all the way back, on,
Full.
always, yeah.
Full. Yeah, and when it comes to volume and tone, it's just all 10,
Yeah.
10.
All on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got enough going on already, so I feel like that probably gives you one less worry.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I gotta dive into these other ones. We talked about the pink one last time, the
Yep.
Mustang, but you wanted to give it a proper shout out because
Yeah, no, it's still
standing.
It's still standing. It's still alive. It is. It's got a substitute neck for the time being because the original is being repaired. But it's been repaired like 3 times and it will come back. But it kept shifting in the pocket, so it wasn't staying in tune anymore. It had a huge. It's got splits everywhere. I think the tuning pegs were hanging off as well because
Wow.
the headstock on the original was split all the way down here, so that it was all wrapping
Yeah.
off. But it will get fixed and it will be back. But yeah, everything is as it is. I mean, it's still got a specially made pickup for me.
The
that
Creamery, right?
This one is the Creamery, yeah. And it's a Creamery to volume, no tone,
Skip it.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the purpose of that is just less things to go wrong
Yeah.
as much as possible. Because this is one that I just throw around and
I've
know.
seen you do it.
do
And it's
do
still
anything
here.
to it. Just about. I mean, it is messed up, but I love it a lot.
It's the
And
daddy
there's
saddle.
I think that was done maybe yesterday. I don't know what that is. Someone. So I was crowd surfing one day and someone just stuck that on. And I thought, you know what? Fair play.
Yeah.
I've never checked it out. I just thought I didn't want to get disappointed in what it is. So I I have no idea what this is. So I'm just gonna
Lee does
say
not endorse.
I don't know. I have no idea. I just thought it was funny that they actually managed to stick a sticker on
Perfect.
so well while I
Yeah.
was crowd surfing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's been on there now for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years.
I feel like by now you should check out what the daddy saddle is.
or you just
let it ride.
and then here,
What's this shred stick?
this is my Jackson. This is actually the first release of the American
Oh, the
Jacksons.
soloist. Yeah.
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 I always wanted one. So when I was talking to the,
Yeah, because you're an '80s hair
I
metal
love
guy.
it. Yeah, I absolutely love it. So, yeah, no. So I really wanted one. I don't know if I had it with me, but I made a Strat.
I believe that was one of the
It just
three
had
guitars.
it had a single pickup at the back, and it had I think me and Gav fashioned it to have a floating bridge, but with a Strat bridge.
Yeah.
So it was like on a knife's edge all the time. But you could go down and up a tone. But within that song, within any song, the tuning would move half a tone.
Yeah.
So it was never stable. So I always wanted one of these. This thing is actually incredible. It's probably one of the best playing guitars I've ever felt. I don't know if you've used these yet.
Have you? What was your interaction with it? Because is it something where playing a different instrument opens up a new path for you as a musician or a creative? And because you get to your old friends, the old Mustang, you might play similar things.
There is a
whereas
thing with
this
that.
is so radical from what you normally play, at least on stage.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, even like the first time I picked it up, I didn't really play chords. Like whenever I pick these two up, it's like my hands go in a certain position straight up. This was this. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think about playing a chord on it. I just wanted to mash the trem as much as possible, and then actually realized that you can tap on this. Like it is so easy to tap with this guitar.
Imagine with the flatter.
It's unreal.
Fretboard.
So I do it every time we play Danny Adelko. I just do a bit of tapping,
Yeah,
just for fun.
that's great. You got to watch out with the headstock though, because that's because it's.
Well, it
a little
doesn't
bit
go in the
before
crowd.
Okay,
That stays on stage.
good.
I mean, it could, but how can I tap when I'm in the crowd?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it stays up here.
Now, there's other instruments we can get into once
Yeah.
we get to the pedal board, so for certain effects you're using. But talk to me about last time we saw you. You had two Marshalls, I believe
Yeah.
a 900 and an 800.
No, it was two 800s.
Okay, two 800s.
It's always 800s. I don't particularly like 900s. I think they're too thin, too trebly.
Got it.
What I always loved the 800s
It's kind of
because
crazy because you have a trebly sound.
well, exactly. So you don't need more.
Yeah. Oh,
Like the 800 can actually. I think the 900s are way too trebly. So if I add all my single coil bridge stuff into it, it's just too thin. The 800 has the capability to just have that bit more body, and I don't know. I just always loved it. Like it's one of those things that I had love for the people that used it in the 80s. So then when I first got one, it was like, that's my amp.
yeah.
But the more I've tried other things, the more it's disappeared.
I don't know where I want to go first. So we have the Deuce over there, which is a 70s kind of older one, and then we got a new Hiwatt. So where do you want to touch base first?
Well, let's go Marshall.
Okay.
I always have a Marshall. So when I had the two 800s, I realized that there was a lot of dynamic range lost by having the two. What we used to do is rip the treble off of one of them. So we're trying to make it so there was a bit more balance between the two. So it could carry a bit more lows and a bit more highs depending on which, and then to blend the two. With the 800, doing that with both, the sonic range wasn't that different still. So actually I got a SLP.
Okay.
And I was running a 100-watt super lead until someone said for me to try the 87X and about how much more body it's got, because I think the biggest problem with the SLP was that it was so loud, like as in I couldn't get much volume variance out of it. The more you add the volume in and out, the more you lose your gain sound with my one.
Yeah.
That was so that's when this was recommended, so we brought it in with the 800. This now, because it's a 50-watt, has a lot more mid-range, a lot more body to it than the 800s do, and volume controlled. Like does have doesn't have a master, but it is actually controllable. I mean, that's on 2. So I use channel 2, normal channel, not the high treble, and that's it. Just run it as is through that, which is all, again, trying to focus on a bit more low end, but more of that, like, I don't know, this is all just talk, isn't it? You know, like it's what I use it for. Like, it's mostly used in choruses of songs or something like that, where it needs
so you're
that.
switching the amps based on what's going on in the song.
Yeah.
It's not all 3 at once.
No.
Okay.
It is 2 on all times, but this and this switch with each other.
Got
So
it.
these 2 will come on and off, dependent. So this has now become the JCM 800,
Okay.
which is very different. I don't really know what to say about this amp other than I've High Watt said about it. So, and then when we went to Canada, they actually had one at the shop there, and I tried it, and I fell in love instantly. But it wasn't actually supposed to be for me. This was actually for Dev.
Oh, really?
But then when we went to the studio, Gavin set up my rig, and then when I got in there, he was like, "Oh, the 88 sounds amazing," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I got a park amp. He's like, "No, the 88 sounds amazing," and he was completely right, and I've never looked back. So it's a mistake that stayed
Yeah, really.
forever. And I mean, I think these 3 amps is everything I used on Tangk.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, how did you land on the Deuce? How did that become something in your orbit?
That is actually from, I think the first time we went to New York, we did a radio session, and they only had about 3 amps in there, and we didn't have our own back then. And one of them was the PV Juice.
Okay.
And you know that thing where it's not the amp you usually use, and you're like, oh, I don't know. And then I plugged it in, I was like, oh my God, like, I love this amp. Then I found out it's actually the Dire Straits amp, and I'm absolutely a huge fan of Dire Straits. So I've spent years basically thinking about it, wanting one, and then I think it was about 2 years ago, I got my hands on the exact one, which is, this one's got 4 inputs in a line.
Okay.
The other one has like 2 and 2. This also has the parallel function, parallel input, which is what I use.
Okay.
So yeah, I've just been hunting for them, and now I've got like 6 of them.
Oh,
so
is that an amp that you are buying here? Because I don't know how many
these are, yeah,
are over in
these are
UK.
from here. No, but the UK ones, I got 3 in the UK.
Oh.
And I bought them in the UK.
Oh, all right.
A lot harder to find.
I bet.
But yeah, no, we managed to get them ready for the tour, which was
And I
incredible.
imagine with the speakers, what do we see, like in terms of, that's probably, I'm assuming the Marshall's 12-inch speakers?
They're all 12.
Okay.
All of them. Everything's 2x12.
Okay.
Why?
Why?
I don't know.
Rather than a 412 or...
Well, 2x12 was always because I was too loud. So like, because I always had the 100-watt heads all the time, having 4x as well was always too loud. Apparently I was always too loud. So we reduced it to 2x12s, because again, you don't really need it, especially when you're on in-ears as well. This is perfect. So everything's 12s, but I don't really know why 12s. I mean, I think it's just something I was used to and always had. I used to switch speakers in them a lot. So yeah, they're both Fanes. And this one's fully original.
They call
70s.
those the Mississippi Marshall.
So yeah, they're the square magnet on the back. Whereas in the back one there, we blew up the speakers. So we got spares everywhere. Everything's got spares
Backups,
behind.
okay.
So there's another Deuce behind, and that's got Swamp Fangs in because it blew up. So, and it sounds really good with them.
Yeah, but it sounded great.
Yeah,
right
no,
before
it's
it blew
really
up.
good.
The speaker.
Not as good as this though. When it's original, I do have a version back in Bristol at home, which actually has vintage tubes. So it's got 70s tubes and the original speakers. Everything is original in it.
Wow.
And it is incredible.
Yeah, I bet that's a hard thing to come by, given you know
Yes.
it's a 50-year-old amp.
Like, very hard. It was actually luck as well. because I don't think the person that sold it to me actually looked at the tubes. They just tested if it worked. And I bought it for £89.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a really good
I
deal.
know. I mean, the tubes alone are worth like 400 or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, it's amazing.
Hey, I'm John.
Chris.
And I'm Barry.
And this is the Rig Rundown team, and we're sponsored by
Dario.
Actually, I think it's pronounced Dario.
It's Dario, but no matter how you say it, we know it stands for quality. All right, you so kindly put on your Esquire. We're behind your spaceship's pedalboard. If anyone's not seen it, go please check out the 2021 Rig Rundown with you and Mark. You guys both did a great job going through your full setup. So this time, to keep things condensed so we have time to speak with Dev, let's just cover some of the new sounds from the new album and maybe any new arrivals on the pedalboard.
Okay.
And I'll let you lead the dance, Lee. You tell me about it.
Do you want to know the new arrivals or just go into a sound first?
Let's do new arrivals and sounds at the same time. Synergistic.
All right, let's have a look then. So this is for the song on new album Tangk called Jungle. There's two things I love, two sounds that I love making on that song, which is huge, like reverberant chorus single notes, strikes. I love it mostly because there's this bit on the third chord that once you get into the amp, if you catch the overtone right, it just sings.
It's kind of like surfing then.
I love making that. There's just this moment where you got to get that high note with the speakers. So I'll try it.
Yeah.
Might fail, but you know, that's life.
Yeah, this is magic.
So should we try that first?
Let's do it.
Should I say what it is?
Yeah.
It's actually, so it's a tone job from Earthquaker Devices, the reverberation machine, and a micro delay, micro dream.
Okay.
Again, also by Deaf by Audio, those two. And that's it. It's just those. It's just reverb and delay and gain, really. As
my three favorite things.
Same. All right. So it's just this. I'll use this thing. It's just big.
And so for that specific sound, we're obviously the high
just
watt,
those two,
and it's the Marshall.
Yeah. Because again, it's the body and the gain together. It just sounds bigger.
Yeah. And how are your effects running? Are they all three amps, as you use them, getting the effects, or is it just the high watt?
Everything's getting the effect.
Okay.
So everything here runs to everything.
Everything.
Yeah. Everything. all the time. And then there's a bit where it goes into a middle 8 with a new pedal, which is the Count to 5 by Montreal Assembly.
Not familiar with the pedal or the company.
It's this one here,
yeah.
This yellow one. It's a granular delay. And it is affected by this expression. Yeah. So then it cuts down. It's just this, it's just, you know, like granular delay thing where they just all keep going over each other. But then you can bring it in.
It reminds me of like a Planet Earth narrated by David Attenborough, with like millipedes crossing across the screen. That's what I hear when I hear those like
I always think
those
it's more
coming down.
sci-fi, you know, like maybe an extraterrestrial planet with millipedes, giant millipedes running around.
Starship Troopers. Love
it. I just love making that sound. It's just fun.
Now, what song is that for?
Jungle. That's
so we're still doing jungle songs.
Yeah. It's just those two effects in that song. I love making. I just love doing it.
Yeah.
And this pedal is I don't know, it's crazy. It's one of those ones where I've no idea how it works. I've tried to understand it, but it's a thing where you just turn the dials until something cool happens and you go, right, that's that.
Do you ever worry about recreating it, or is part of the chaos and
it is really easy to recreate.
Once it's set.
Yeah, it's like it's just got these couple of ranges where you know, like if I do that, it's now somewhere completely different.
Yeah.
But the light changes to let you know. So, and now it's back.
Yeah.
So you can quantize the delay sounds to be in different, and you can change the octaves. The octave, you can have it go an octave up, 2 octaves up or 2 octaves down. So it's pretty cool.
The last couple records you guys have done, specifically the last, well, even Ultramono, so the last 3, are pretty dense sonically. Are you guys recreating all that stuff on stage, or is there any?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's all done live on stage?
Yeah.
No tracks or anything, or nothing like
Well,
that?
no, we do have like samples being replayed and stuff. Bowen has a few things on like the MPC which you'll go through.
Yeah.
But majoritively, everything is just everything we made, we have remade to play it live.
Yeah.
So it's
'Cause you're a
all
live band.
really close.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a few things where I'd rather than be down here all the time. I get it set as close to and then play the song.
Yeah.
But there are things where I've got to switch between stuff a lot. It's still it all works and I think it all sounds good. So, so that's that one. And I guess while we got this, I can go on to Dancer.
Okay, let's
which
do
has
it.
actually got some really fun effects as well. So we just have the octave down for the verse. So that works its way into the next section, which is like a little tremolo guitar. And then I'll do the second verse bit. It's going to be way out of time. Probably be a very fast version of the second verse. Where I switch between the 3 effects, which I like a lot. So the chorus effect comes back, which is this. So it's about like playing the chord and then just smashing the bridge to get the ring out.
Yeah.
And it's just that on repeat with the other effect. The fun thing about that one is that this is actually affected by this as well. And this is like that cuts the what's it called, like the 5-volt circuit in a expression that interrupts the pedal to tell it that there is an expression in.
Wow.
So the expression never needs to be unplugged. So when I press that button now, this is independent. So it's like its original form, even though there's an expression in it. So, and that will slow it down a little bit. But then it gives me the option to, which
Labeled
are,
Twin Peaks, which is nice.
yes, exactly. So I know which one does what. Although I don't know why I need that, because it's the only one plugged into there.
Who figured that out, you or Gavin, to insert the switch to bypass it but still keep
But
it in?
that was actually something we realized. Gavin actually told me about the piano expression and using that instead of one of these, because you actually get that. You get to change the ramp yourself in how much pressure you put on. But I'll show you that when I'll show you what we do in the chorus for Roy. The switch it's one of Gavin's friends up in Scotland, Fretronics.
Okay.
Explained, actually that's not true, almost all true. So what actually happened
all
was,
hearsay at this
I know, exactly. I don't know what's going on. So I spoke to David Drolo,
Okay.
who makes these 2 pedals here, the Twin Peaks and the Stammen. I told him about how I wanted to do that and whether he could put a mod in there, and he said that's what needs to happen. And then we spoke to Fretronics and he was like, easy, I'll make you a little box that'll just cut the I think it's a 5-volt circuit, is that right? Yep. And then got put in.
Isn't it nice to have friends that are really smart?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
At least for me, I don't want to speak for you, but for me it's handy.
these pedals
I'm kind of a knuckle dragger.
are very smart.
Yeah.
They're like
They're
they
smarter
do.
than me, I can tell. I'm intimidated.
Honestly, the Twin Peaks, I think, is the best tremolo I've ever used.
Really?
By far. It does everything. And it's very recreatable. You can have the nice soft warble, but then if you really want to, I mean, should we just move on to
Yeah, let's keep cooking.
to Roy, so then you can see. Did you actually want to know what effects I use there? Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, you covered obviously the whammy for the octave.
Yeah, and then that what I just played is just the Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks.
And I'm using the gain in it as the drive.
What's a cool thing that added into the pedal?
And then the chorus is actually the tone job, the reverberation machine, and the wazza delay. Yeah. The other fun thing, which is after the chorus, there's this. There was a tremolo like white noise. We managed.
This is still on Dancer.
Yeah, we actually managed to recreate it. Sorry, I'm going back and forward so much.
No,
which is it's literally just this. And that is the Interstellar Overdriver, Gary, and the tone job, all like pumped.
Kind of talking to each other.
Yeah, just making a white noise, and then it goes into the Twin Peaks, which shuffles it. That's it. It's like a little shaker, isn't it?
Can we talk about Gary for a second? Because
we can.
I know that's, or maybe that is the name that will come out.
It is, yeah. This is it. This is the
really gonna be called Gary.
Yeah.
So talk about your partnership with Earthquaker.
Yeah. So this is actually a really, really special moment. For
me.
I think my first pedal endorsement was with Earthquaker devices, and they actually sent me this, the organizer, and I have it's one of my favorite pedals. Then they sent me like things like the tone job and stuff, and again that ended up just being in everything. It's one of the most like versatile pedals to have on your board. It's just a really simple EQ pedal that you can gain or not, and so on. And I use it in conjunction with my EP booster, which is my always on pedal. So yeah, Gary replaces the grey channel, which I used to have.
Yeah.
And it actually started because I asked Earthquaker whether or not they would be up for making me a section of the grey channel that I really liked, and I only wanted that because obviously things get moved, knocked, and then it had the two sides with the switches, and that little switch kept moving with me. I kept doing it.
Yeah. Pilot air.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and Jamie was like, yeah, definitely we can do that. And then so we did it, and it sounded perfect. We had this little box on here, this little grey box. It was just the green side of the grey channel with the volume and gain, and the switch was removed, but it was locked in the neutral setting. Okay. And that was it. And then the more we talked to each other about it, we talked about actually making my own pedal. So we thought, it'd be sick to make a second side, which we did, and now we have Gary, which is it's a one-sided overdrive, other side fuzz, but the fuzz on this it's like a square wave frequency, so I can move between and change the intensity of the wave, but also how much it interacts with the guitar and how much it can bottom out. So I used to have this like fuzz that you could really hit the floor with. So I always loved that, but you could never control it. Whereas now I can. So I can show you it quick. This is Gary and the EP booster. The EP booster is always on. So, but this is Gary in just its normal like 12 o'clock, everything, just the overdrive.
Gary's gnarly.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really lovely. It can be even less. You can make it a really clean drive by turning the gain all the way off and the volume up. But I generally always had it at 12 and 12.
Yeah.
And I always paired it with the tone job. So like the majority of choruses for me, from like Joy onwards, were always like tone job and grey channel, obviously. So it's, the two together, so you get more gain. But if we take tone job back off and we switch the side to the first. So it's dead now?
Yeah.
When I play it, it's gone. But if I leave it, you can bring it back in. So you can bring it back in. You can also put it on a expression pedal.
Yeah,
so
I was going to ask
you can
about
function that yourself. I love that you can just stop it dead too.
That reminds me a lot of Mark Knopfler, that tone there.
Yeah, especially for the juice, you know. Although I think that was just Marshall.
Yeah.
And then obviously you can add them both, and it always go fuzz into overdrive.
Okay.
You can't
That's cool
change
that.
that.
You did it.
So yeah, that's Gary.
Man.
There will be a lot more of Gary to come, more videos, more in depth about it.
But welcome to the world, Gary.
Exactly.
We're glad to have you.
I'm so stoked that the first appearance of Gary is on Rig Rundown.
Yeah, this is excellent. Should we move on to
Yes, Roy.
All right, so we got the baritone. Tell me about it. It looks like it could possibly be a parts caster of some sort.
It is, yeah. So Gavin actually noticed that you can just get the necks online.
Yeah.
So we just bought the neck, strapped it to one of my old makeshift Esquires.
Yeah.
So I have a Esquire baritone.
It's kind of that's what's kind of nice about Fenders is that because they're bolt-on, you can kind of just
do what
find
you want.
parts and jam them together.
I mean, it does sound really good. I think the pickup could be changed now that it's been now I've lived with it for a bit.
Yeah.
It could be changed. I think we could. I think what sounds really good is the pickup in Bowen's actual baritone.
Yeah.
So if we'd just get one of those Strat pickups and
drop it in.
Yeah, I think you can get them in there somehow, can't you?
I'm sure you can.
Sure there
You know,
is.
if someone could, it's gonna be Gavin.
Yeah, just make up a base plate on the bottom, platinum.
Task him with it; he'll figure it out.
But yeah, so it's this, and then this is the whole reason that this switch came in to play.
Okay.
Was so we could always have it in the Twin Peaks and set it to change when I don't need it to this pedal.
All right.
But this pedal came in for this song. So there's a synth that's doing a trem. I played through with guitar and it changed the it just did all the trem. So then I had to recreate it. And we did that by using square wave on here, high depth, gain, tone. So now it's on, as you can see, here's a little sticker there that says that's the speed to be. Because and then what's special about this is that even though I managed to get that pace right, the heel and toe was all wrong. So we set the heel and toe for the Mission Expressionator, which then obviously goes to this little switch, which can switch it on and off, and to the Twin Peaks, the piano expression.
Got it.
So it's just got this. It feels very roundabout way of.
Yeah. I didn't want to point it out.
But I couldn't figure out another way to do it. So this is the way it is, and this is how it sounds if it works. Do you know what would help? Is if I actually set the pedals.
Yeah.
And then you should make the sound it's supposed to.
When we spoke with Dev, it worked out that he's making the changes in real time too between his pedal settings. So you're having to do that as well?
Yeah, because even though everything's on the
switcher,
you still got to change your pedal settings in between songs. So, but the switcher makes everything so much easier. I mean,
you could just get you a Kemper and call it a day.
Nope. But what is still amazing about using the switching system is that I can make this sound on the fly.
Yeah.
So like the verse is just this. That's the that's the whole tone. And then I switch to the chorus, which will be. That's why. I haven't played the song in a little while. If you have too much gain, you lose the chop.
Okay.
But there you can hear the expression work. Yeah.
The chopper.
Yeah, I love it. It sounds amazing.
Nothing subtle. Nothing subtle.
No, there isn't much subtle there, to be honest.
No. But at least you know you're always being heard.
But yeah, I mean, that's that.
All right, so that's for Roy with the baritone. Is there anything else that the baritone gets used on?
No, just Roy,
Okay.
and then there's a fun feedback thing I guess I use on this song, where because again the amp switch, that's high watt and the PV, and there's a feedback bit which actually uses the octave system and the organizer together. Somewhere. There we go. Which I find quite fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's that thing where rather than me doing the feedback through the amp with the cones, I'm actually controlling it, the high peaks and low peaks with the whammy. But the organizer's still in there, which gives it that like organy well like.
Yeah.
Pretty much every pedal I have to change in between songs, get them right for the song. As you can see, there are markers on some of them because
A lot of road maps with a lot of colors and a lot of arrows.
yeah, I mean, you know, that's that thing where when you do a new album, it's all the new dials. You can't quite remember them all.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'd rather have little pinpoint. I mean, that one down there is a bit insane. And also at this point now, these stickers don't mean anything because because the more you play them live and in the live environment, the more you tweak it again.
Yeah.
So they're not even on those markers. The only one that I actually stick to the marker now is the Twin Peaks because it's set to
That.
yeah.
Come on. You got to be honest. Oh, it's not up here. I was going to say the only sticker that really matters is this daddy saddle.
Okay, we need to stop talking about that because I have no idea what it is.
Lee, thank you so much for running us through the new sounds on the new album. I really appreciate it. Before we get out of here and get kicked out of here, we're going to talk to Dev about his setup, go through his bass rig. But I really appreciate your time, man.
Thank you so much.
And thank you
so much
again
for having us.
for everything. You guys are awesome. You're an inspiration, but also you seem like a really good dude too. And I've always impressed.
That just makes me feel really so nervous and self-conscious.
I've always enjoyed our interactions. It's been such a fun time, and you've always been so gracious to us. And in extension, Gravin and the rest of the band and the crew, you guys are awesome.
Well, thank you for thinking of us. We love this. We love doing this. I love making these things. I love these things. So
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun to show it off and talk about it.
Well,
I'm
hell
always
yeah,
happy
man.
to.
Until
So
next
thank you.
time.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we are joined by Dev. We did this last rundown with Mark and Lee in 2021. We didn't disparage you in terms of not including you. Just ran out of time because these guys have a lot of toys. But this time we get to include you, Dev. I really appreciate you. You're a big part of the motor that is IDLES.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to you very badly about my gear and why I use it.
This is part of the fun. You know, never know what we're going to get mixed bag, but we're going to talk gear, whatever you want to talk. Our likeness, you know.
Yeah. We've worked out we might have the same dad. We're gonna have a discussion after the cameras are off and then work out where we're from. You know.
23andMe, we'll figure it out.
You got good look, man.
Good to see you.
You too, brother.
No, for a long time. I mean, ever since I've been a fan of the band, it's a lot of Fenders, and there is not a non-Fender here. We'll get introduced to in a minute, but jazz bass.
Yeah.
What got you in the jazz bass?
It's basically just the first bass that I could kind of afford, really. And it's my nan that bought me my first.
That white one, right?
Yeah, it was the white one. Yeah, my nan bought me a white Mexican jazz when I was as a birthday gift one year, and I've just kind of never played anything else since. Really, the necks are just so playable and easy.
Yeah.
Like precision's, like I do like the tone with it, but. It's just something about the necks a bit too baseball bat like in my hand, and I can just play a jazz a lot easier, really.
Yeah.
And they're just planks of wood, you know. If you want to change a tone, you swap the pickups out and just put whatever you want in, and that's something that we always try and do, really. If it feels good, play that and work around the other stuff, you know.
You know, I've saw the band's documentary that came off 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago now, and it struck me that you guys wanted to make music together with the friendship that was created with your guys' bond.
Yeah.
And it was less about the equipment. It was just like,
Yeah,
I got something that works. But what's the evolution been now that you guys have, you know, garnered a certain level of success?
Yeah.
You're starting to pay attention to the details that might have been overlooked
Yeah.
early on. But, so, like, what's that been like for you as a bass player?
I mean, it's just an education, isn't it? You know, even if you don't think that you're picking stuff up, like, you know, you're always taking stuff in vicariously, and, you know, even if you're not the most into it, you know, I'm by no means a producer, but like I've learned things over the years, and I've learned what works with us, and like where we have to sit with each other, and how to write songs together, and sonically how we can bring elements that make it sound like us. So yeah, you learn that shit over time, you know.
How does that work specifically with Mark and increasing his low end presence with the baritones and that stuff?
Yeah, because I mean he does all the like real subby stuff. So like a lot of the people are like, you know, a lot of fans have come up and said like, you know, like, oh, I love that bass line on Dancer, and you're like, well, that's Bowen's part. But you know, that's like, it's cool because there's like there's stuff that a bass guitar just doesn't sound good at doing at that level, whereas he's got all the extra toys and things that can fill out that register, you know. And like the bass guitar sounds like a bass guitar, you know. There's always going to be a place for it in a band that's primarily kind of still centered around guitars, you know. So.
It is, but like, man, with you and John, you guys are the spine. I know that's always the kind of the rhythm section of a band, and you know, bass and drums kind of lock in, but so much for you guys because Lee and Mark are doing such crazy things with their instruments and with his crawler rig. You are like the locomotive, you and John together.
Absolutely.
It's just down the center.
It's kind of what had to be done, really, especially when we were, you know, going out and touring like around for the first time with like Brutalism and stuff. Me and John just had to make sure that we were kind of as locked in as we could be. That allows the other guys to do all the kind of weirder stuff, you know, and like it's kind of like how our sound became, you know. Like I'm not the most technically gifted of players, and you know, playing like nice airy bass lines just wouldn't fit with what we do. So like, you know, we just try and keep it as tight as possible.
You're a sledgehammer.
Play hard. Yeah, man. I'm not
I'm
not the subtlest of people, you know. So it's just sit there and hammer away, you know. Like,
I love it, man.
But again, it's like evolution, and it's like trying to like learn different things, and like, you know, like I taking bass lessons like a few years ago to learn like loads of like other stuff and like other ways of playing, and you know, that informs what you do later. It might not directly sound like it's in IDLES, but you know, there's elements of stuff that's like, oh, I could bring that kind of thing here, and you know, just little tips and tricks and stuff, you know. Not that I'll ever play, you know, Jacko bass lines or anything like that, but like learning stuff like that informs what you do and just gives you a wider palette to choose from.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's there, but it's also not. But I know they give a big love and appreciation for Peter Hook in the Joy Division.
Yeah, love it. You know, it's just tonally and like how we played. It was like, especially in early IDLES, it was always what I kind of wanted to do. And like, you know, there's pedals like, you know, the MF chorus pedal that I have is like, you know, if I ever just like I'm on my own and I want to pretend I'm in an 80s goth band, you just whack that guy on, and you're like, you know, you've gone to Goth Town. You know, I start slowly putting eyeliner on as I'm playing. You know, like it's a good place to be. It's a good place. I love that pedal very much.
Now, so why is this? I believe it's an ultra model, ultra jazz Fender. How's this become the main one, or the?
It's kind of one that they kind of. It's a bit of a Frankenstein. Okay. So it's that they made the neck for me. I really wanted this colorway because it was kind of around the time of like ultra mono. I think we were kind of releasing, so there was a lot of colorways like that was around. So I kind of wanted something that fit with that. Okay. But I really wanted a thin C neck with it, and they had to make the neck from the custom shop and then bolted it onto this. And I think it's I don't think any other basses are this colorway, so it's kind of just mine really.
That's
and
cool.
It feels nice to play, and you know, when they've lovingly made it for me, it just feels that it's my go-to, you know. Yeah. It's my go-to.
Now, did you record this on Tangk? Is this kind of like a...
There's bits of it on Tangk. There's like a lot of like the last record. A lot of it was done with an old '70s Mustang.
Okay.
That Nigel has and has had for years, and it was a lot of the bass lines on that were played on there. And then it's about taking it from what you've done on the studio and trying to emulate it live, you know.
How was that? Because you were kind of talked to us before camera about how you constructed the new album, and now you're having to kind of deconstruct it for the live stage. It's like you're trying to almost figure out how you did it to do it here.
Massively. I mean, you know, for all the records up until Tangk, we were learning the songs as a live band and then going and taking like a snapshot of those songs, and then you just, you know, the songs kind of progress naturally live. But on this record, we were going in and we were recording as we were going and writing as we were going. So, you know, we'd be recording parts and then we go in and then Joe would do a vocal, and then he'd be like, that chord there isn't quite right. So then we'd have to go back in, re-record that little bit, and then we'd build the songs that way. So then by the time we've got the songs back at the end of all of that process, you're like, hang on, what the hell was I playing there? So we had to get the stems back and like literally just be like, oh, okay, what have you done with the post-production of that? What effects is on there? And then you haven't, like, we spent months in the room just trying to recreate that to emulate what we did on record, you know. It's a proper studio album rather than a live band playing live.
Did you enjoy that process?
It was, I learned a lot, definitely. It was like, you know, it's you don't want to keep making the same stuff all over again. It's, like I said earlier, it's about trying to learn new things and become a better player, and, you know, learn about the production side of it and just be like, why does that work? Why does that tone, you know, some of the tones on its own are just like, that sounds terrible, but you stick it with everything else, it sounds really, really cool, you know. And it's just learning about things like that, you know.
Making a proper sandwich.
Making a proper sandwich. None of these like just one slice of cheese, one slice of ham and some bread. It's like, you know, you got all the elements going in there, you know, hot, cold parts. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. I like that.
Now, kind of cruise through here. We got the jazz covered. And we'll hear it when we go through the pedals and stuff. But what's here with the big P?
That's my, that's because, well, for, what song was it? It was Beast and Ballroom. We just really wanted like a proper 70s, like, you know, soul kind of like tone with it. And this is my 78, I think it is 77 or 78 P bass that I love. But to be honest, the only reason why I bought that one in that finish is because I'm a massive fan of Super Furry Animals. And when I went to watch them play when I was, you know, growing up, and one of the first bands I ever loved, I always remember him playing like a natural finished P bass, and I was like, I always wanted one of those, thinking it was like this 70s P bass. Anyway, I met the bassist, and I told him, I was like, I just spent like a lot of money on a bass because you played that bass. And he was like, oh, mine's from the 90s, man. I think Fender just gave it to me. And I was like, okay, cool. So I'm now touring this like relic of a bass, but I love it. It sounds amazing. There's a warmth to it that's just like really nice. Yeah, real nice.
I feel like that's going to happen with the jazz. Someone's going to, you know, use you as an archetype for their tone quest in the years to come, and they'll see this video. They're like, I'm going to track down this bass. It's mistaken. This is one of one.
Yeah, man, it's one of one. And also just swap the pickups out and just put whatever pickups you want in there. You know, it's like, that's kind of still what I did with this one as well. But there's like, you know, it just feels nice. It looks nice. And you feel that you got to work with a P, I think, to like really get the most out of it. But yeah, I do like that bass. It's starting to be used more and more in different, in later songs as well. So yeah, it's cool. You know, they're just tools, man. They're like,
Well, speaking of tools, what do you use to lace these bad boys up? What strings are you using?
I'd use Rotor Sound 105s, 110s on my drop D basses, because I have another bass just for tuning wise. I always get it set up as a drop D, so that's why I have a lot of bass changes. It's not really tonally stuff, it's like so it holds the tuning, because I play very heavy. It falls out of tune quite a lot. So Rotor Sound 105s, but I've also been moved on to flat wounds on the last record for that kind of, you know, kind of Mustang-y, thumpy sound.
What have you enjoyed about that?
It makes you play differently, I found. Makes me play like, you know, there's a lot more kind of melody in bass lines, because you haven't got that resonance. It just lets it ring out. So you have to, you know, you're playing more notes, which means that you're playing more melodic stuff, like, which is cool. It's made me think about it in a different way, you know, rather than just, up
Chugging.
and down. Yeah, rather than just chugging away, you know. It's cool. It's yeah, definitely given a different sheen to the bass lines, you know.
Well, right on. I believe there's another bass here. We'll
There
give
is
it some
another
love.
bass there. Yeah, this is my Serec Lincoln. These guys reached out to me when we did Lollapalooza in Chicago.
Okay.
They're based in Chicago.
All right.
And they were just like, hey, we like your stuff. We've got a shop down here. Do you want to come down? And I had the day off and I went down with Jake, our tech. We just hung out for the day and he was like, which one do you like? I picked this up and within 2 minutes I was like, I'll put an order in for one, man. This is like beautiful. It plays lovely. It's a real unique tone as well. I know I said about swapping pickups out, but they kind of like, they kind of done their own thing with it and it just sounds like a Serec Lincoln. I haven't found another bass that kind of sounds like it. So I really enjoy playing this bass. I play this one on Gift Horse on the last record and slowly bringing it into like more writing and stuff. It's a real wonderful bass and they're real cool people and have done a really good job. So, yeah, big fan.
Now, will you use that in any other songs, or is it kind of just get Carson to
Kind of
see
just
more
Gift
time?
Horse and there's like a few other little kind of overdubs and textures and stuff. But it'll be used more and more, definitely, with like warmer kind of tones.
And what about on stage? Kind of same
Yeah,
deal?
same thing, you know. It's I still do try and like use as much of what we did in the studio as I do live, just because, like, you know, it's rather than really fucking with the EQs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'll just try and use the same basses that I would have used in the studio, you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, how about we get you back on the jazz, and then we can kind of run through your pedal board.
Yeah, man.
So you got the high watt behind you, and you got the super bassman.
Got
How are those going? Are those both on at all times?
They're both on at all times, just running both. I've pedals into both, and I did take a DI out of the board, and so you've got the two direct from there. You've got a mic, and then DI out of the board. So I think there's four, and a straight DI. So I think there's 4 or 5 bass channels, kind of moulded together for the live show. But yeah, I kind of genuinely always record with the high watt and the Fender.
Good combination.
Yeah,
they
they're
complement
great.
each other.
Yeah, very much so. And you know, if I can find like a vintage super, like they just certain warmth to it. I do really like Ampeg as well. You know, a classic SVT sounds amazing, but I've not had a lot of luck with them, to be honest. Playing live and stuff at festivals, a lot of them have just.
They don't like the heat.
Yeah, they don't. They've crapped out on me a few times, but this is like being good to me. So yeah, but yeah, pedal wise,
run us through your board and kind of give us some sound samples.
So I mean, the two that are always on, I have a Rusty Box, and I kind of EQ that one a little bit more. More than the sounds up. The sounds up I just leave on all the time. And have everything just at 12 o'clock, and it just widens the end of the chain a little bit more. Rusty Box is on all the time, and it just gives it that little bit of extra spank.
Let's hear that.
Yeah.
Combination.
So I'll just do Mother. That's like kind of first 2 albums. It's mainly like that kind of tone. There'll be like the odd overdrive or whatever. I use a Dark Glass Microtunes B7K Ultra. I love that pedal. It does like it's great. There's a lot of kind of EQ that I'll do with that as well for certain stuff. So if I'm doing like Car Crash, all the EQ's done through this one. So. It's just like a real kind of dull, it's like a real monotonous, kind of subby, not much twang to it. So that one does like quite a lot of the EQ work as well, but also can just be used as quite a cool overdrive pedal, which I like to use quite a lot.
Is the Rusty hitting the Sandsamp, or how's that going?
So yeah, Rusty's going into the Sandsamp. So they're the two at the end of the chain. And then I've got a noise gate at the end of the chain as well, just to, you know, there's you know, it comes in useful every now and again when everything's flying around or happen to have to stand too close to the amp or whatever. I can crank that up and kind of just control the top end, because there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of preamp going into into the amps, you know, but it's kind of I love it.
Yeah.
I love that high-end spank as you know with the earlier stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what we do with those. And then a couple of fuzzes as options.
Got the Fuzz War.
The Fuzz War, Death by Audio, which is, what would I use that one on? Gift Horse, although this would be a different bass. You got. That would be played on the Serec though.
Yeah, I noticed on that Fuzz War,
Yeah.
it's barely, all the three controls are they're pretty minute in terms of where they're at. Like, there's a lot to be pushed.
There is a hell of a lot. There's a point in that I push it quite a lot, but I have to really fuck with the EQs and stuff to like control it. But they've just released the bass version of that in the last couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that and working some stuff out. It looks to be a lot more moldable and give you a lot more options for bass as well. The problem with bass fuzz I find is that there's quite a lot of time there's the mids is kind of lost, you know, and it just ends up becoming a little bit too shrill and trebly. So that's quite a good one I found that kind of keeps it all there, you know.
Got it.
So yeah, this is the fuzz pedal, the Baltimore Sonic Research Institute FZZ or fuzz. We used it. We did a track for the Black album reissue for Metallica, and we were in the studio doing the cover version, and they had this pedal lying around, and it was again a moldable fuzz pedal that you'd be able to put the mids back in.
Got it.
And it kind of sounds cool. So yeah, this is what I'd use. Like obviously this I would use it in with my PE bass and not the jazz, but I can't be asked to change the guitar. Yeah, I would use this on like Beachland Ballroom, where it just do like the breaks, the spashy breaks. Which sounds kind of cool, you know. So I think there is a definitely better fuzz out there for that. But
yeah, especially in the heat of the battle, it really kicks out.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a nice pedal. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of my go-to ones really. But you do have like this MF Chorus, which I love. This is one of my favourite pedals.
It's your goth box.
It is my goth box, exactly. And like, there's certain songs that we can kind of bring it into. Like, this would be like Gift Horse, but it would be played on the Serec, but I can't be asked to change. So here we go. Kind of cool. I mean, like we wrote that song, and then Bowen kind of came in and was like, it's, you know, it was completely dry. It was just a song without that pedal, and then he came over and was like, try this, and it just like kind of brought the song to life, you know. So yeah, I've got a big fan of that pedal. I'm not really a fan of like touring with too much boutique and vintage stuff that you rely on, because I'm a very sweaty man, and I destroy a lot of pedals from just sweating into them, and that one is now discontinued, and I'm kind of terrified of when that dies, because they're becoming very expensive to get, and I'm starting to rely on it a little bit more now. So yeah, it's going to be an expensive game getting that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's kind of the basics of the boards of what we're kind of playing at the moment, really.
Man, I see a filter up here, and I see obviously a Strymon Flint, so it's kind of like some sprinkles on top of the cake.
There is, there's, you know, there's certain songs in Texas I can really go, I mean, like,
you got a Pog too,
yeah,
the little dinky Pog.
The Pog is actually kind of used quite a lot. This is like, so Colossus at the start of the set.
Yeah,
that's definitely a Pog here.
All right, so like I noticed since we've been talking, you've changed the dark glass a few times with different settings and dip switches. You do that through the set?
Yeah. There was a period of time where I'd just have like a cheat sheet to the side of me.
I bet.
And I'd, you know, they're still on there now. You know, I've still got like certain like settings, and because my memory is terrible, so I'd have to be reminded of what to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tend to do them myself. Every now and again I'll forget, and then I'll just see Jake will walk on and look at me really pissed off and then go down and just change something. I'm like, thank you very much. Yeah, he's a savior. He's a savior.
Well, Dave, I really appreciate your time this time. I know that it's a big ask to get you guys to come out here and talk to us about gear, and we're all fans, and I really appreciate it musically, but also I know what you guys do for the community, and with IDLES AF, it's a big thing that as this album has told, all is love. So I appreciate your time. What you guys
thank
do,
you for
man.
having me, man.
Yeah, man, I love
Hope it was useful.
It definitely was useful.
Thank
from my
you.
brother from another mother. See you next time.
Yeah, man.
Keep that little
Let's
spike
talk
in.
daddies, shall we?